Alright guys, welcome back to the Elden Ring walkthrough. We're starting out this episode at the northern Agile Lake side of Grace, and it must be nighttime here. We're going to have the whip and the Nox flowing sword in the right hand and the Radagon sword seal equipped. Now, it has to be nighttime for this particular field boss to spawn. This field boss is called the Knight's Cavalry. You'll encounter these several times throughout the adventure, just like the Deathbirds and the bale-bearing hunters. But right here at this campfire, we're going to stop and we're going to kill these guys. But first, let's apply our buffs. You have the Golden Vow, Flame Grant Me Strength, and drink our flasks. And get the Nox Flowing Sword and Flowing Form. We'll take out all three of these guys very easily. If you don't take these three guys out, they will harass you during the fight. So it's not worth taking the chance. Now, it's important to note, when you're fighting the Knight's Cavalry, always target the horse. Do not worry about the Knight. The Knight is secondary. The horse is number one, because if you take out the horse, the Knight will fall down on his back right for a riposte, and that's what we're aiming for here. And it's only going to take one critical attack to take him out. And it's only going to take a few swings of our Nox Flowing Sword at this juncture to take out the horse, so this is the way you want to do it. Just stay back, because these are wide swinging attacks this guy has. But you'll get your openings. You'll see whenever the horse jumps in the air, that's a good chance to go for it. An attack here. He missed here, and he's down. And we're just going to critical attack him, and it's over. And we get the repeating thrust Ash of War. Now, I mentioned in the last episode that we're going for all status effects and all elemental effects. Now, this repeating thrust Ash of War will be ideal for us when we put it on our next weapon, because it will allow us to proc Rot very quickly. Rot is the rarest and most deadly status effect in the game, but we're going to be able to get an infinite source of it from this weapon because it innately does it. Now, we're heading back to the Bellum Church because we need to get to the Grand Lift of Dectus, and it's a short distance from here. It's right here on the map. But along the way, there's some ballistas that will knock you and kill you pretty much instantly. So we want to take the left side here. And there's also a rune arc we can pick up along the way. But stay to the left. Don't go down the middle. You'll face too much resistance. It's just not worth it. A lot of times you just want to keep a low profile when you're going from point A to point B. And this is definitely one of those cases. Now make sure to get this rune arc here. These will become relevant later once we kill our first demigod, but that's not for a while. But you want to take the left side here. We do not want to engage many enemies here, so just take this path and you won't have much resistance. It's better this way. But once we get to the Grand Lift of Dectus, we're going to be taking it to the Altus Plateau. Now once we get to the Altus Plateau, you can talk to Raya again and she will take you to the Volcano Manor. We're not quite ready for Volcano Manor yet, so instead we're going to go into Mount Gelmir and pick up a very important cookbook. And while we're there, we're going to explore a cave and get 2 weapons that we want. And then we're going to go back to Altus Plateau and loot particular items throughout the region. And then we're going to go back and finally get our Golden Scarab. By the end of this episode, we will have it. So first on the agenda is to kill a boss. Now this boss is very easy, guys, and we're going to kill 2 bosses very similar in this episode, pretty much back to back. So these are like queens or something, demi-human queens. But right here, as soon as you exit the lift, you'll see Raya here. If you talk to her, you can go to Volcano Manor, but like I said, we're not going to do that just yet. You want to head this direction, head west. You'll run into some demi-humans and some ruins. Now, be wary. If you fall off these ruins, you can't get back to them very easily. It's going to take a long time to get back up here. And you might just have to go back to the Grand Lift of Dectus to get back up to this top part of these ruins. At least that's what I've seen. I haven't seen another way back up. I could be wrong. But right here, you want to go to the top of the Lux ruins. You want to come this way and drop off into these stairs, and the boss is right here. We're just going to buff our normal buffs here. Golden Vow, Flame Grant Me Strength, drink our flask, and we're going to unleash our jellyfish here because the jellyfish does great aggro here. We don't need the other summons right now. This is just to give us a little bit of a distraction. And if you stay under her crotch area, you will not really have much of an issue. But she can still hit you. The hitboxes are kind of weird. Just stay about right here. But this fight will not last long, and she'll go down, and you can repost her. There's really not much to say about this boss. If you do these steps, you will not have a problem, even with this low vigor. Now I'm using a gold pickled foulfoot again. This is going to be a recurring theme for every boss we kill. And we'll get the Ritual Sword Talisman. This is the Laiedd sword ring from Dark Souls 3, basically. When your health is at full, you'll do more damage. 10%, I believe. So we're going to have this equipped for our next area here. Now there's a invisible scarab here. Just try to sneak up on him. If he sees you, you will not get the Ash of War. Now we want to find the... Now for some reason, this demi-human, most of them when you kill their boss, they cower, but there's this one right there that will not care and just attack you. The ones with the glowing red eyes, you have to be wary, but we're going to look for this next side of Grace down here, the Erd Tree Grazing Hill side of Grace. We're going to be coming back to this area quite a lot. This is a very important Grace, actually. Kind of your central area where we can do a lot of things. Let's go ahead and pick up this golden seed. And then we'll rest at the Grace and move to our next destination. Now we're going for the next weapon. This is the weapon that will proc infinite rot for us. Like I said, rot is very rare. The game does not give you infinite resources to craft rot items. But this weapon is an infinite source of rot. So we're going to go get it. It's very good, and it's going to benefit us a lot in this playthrough. And that repeating thrust that we just got from that Knight's Cavalry is absolutely ideal for this weapon. Now, remember this area because we have to come back to this area to do an invasion, a bounty, so to speak. Once we go to Volcano Manor, we'll have these quests that we need to go into, these assassination quests. And this is going to be our second assassination request here. Right up through this area and into this like mountain area, you'll see a spectral, like a knight on a horse here. You'll know you're in the right spot once you see that. But you'll come up here, and this is where your invasion will be. You'll have to invade the world. But you'll get a very good item once you kill this guy. But we're not going to do that for a while. But it'll be right here. The summon sign will be right here. The invasion sign. We're headed to the Shaded Castle. We're not going to do the Shaded Castle. We're going to the outskirts of it, actually. So as soon as we see the castle right there, we're going to stick to the left along the wall, and this will lead us to an area off to the left here. And there'll be a golem here, but there will also be like a regular NPC fight. And that's the guy that's going to drop the weapon for us. He's very easy to kill, very easy to avoid. You should have zero issue fighting this guy. We're still going to apply our buffs. But right here is where you want to start applying your buffs right here. Just the normal stuff. Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength. Drink your flask. You should be routine by now. And we're just going to use our Flowing Form to take this guy out with little to no issue. Just target him, and with the Nox Flowing Sword's range, this should be very easy. It shouldn't take more than just a few hits. Well, he kept avoiding me here, but 3 hits, 3 solid hits, and it's pretty much over. And you'll get the Ant Spur Rapier. This thing has rot, and that's a very good thing because now we have an infinite amount of rot that we can proc on enemies. And it won't take long either because repeating thrust does multiple jabs in a row, and you can get where we're going with this. We can start out with a few R1s and then combo that into the repeating thrust, and rot will proc. Now we're buying some smithing stones from the Twin Maiden Husks here because we want to get this Ant Spur Rapier to +7. We had enough stones to get it to +7, so We can only get to +6 by buying the stones right now, but by the end of the episode, we'll be able to get every weapon in our arsenal to +12, which is huge. Now, the other status effect that's extremely rare is sleep. Now, we're not going to get it in this episode, but we could. It's very easy to get. It's a sword that does infinite amount of sleep, so sleep pots will not have to be a thing. We are going to use sleep pots just because they're convenient, but they're not infinite. But the sword will give us infinite amount of sleep as well. But we'll get that in the next episode, probably at the beginning of the next episode. But we're just getting our rapier up to +7. I was debating whether to use my other smithing stones to get it one more level up, and I decided to do so. Now, the next area I'm going to is kind of optional, but I decided to go into it because I devised a pretty good way of going through it, and it's really not that difficult to get through, and we'll get the Lightning Scorpion Talisman, which will increase our lightning damage. And since we got the Lightning Armament incantation in the last episode, I just wanted to amplify that damage, so we might as well go for it. It's really not that hard to do, although if you don't want to do the steps, I wouldn't blame you, but it's really not that bad. From the Erd Tree Grazing Hill side of Grace, you want to go up this hill right here, but take care. As soon as you get up to the top here, the next boss, the Tibia Mariner boss, will be aggroed, and he summons this gigantic skeleton that will follow you around and kill you. Do not stick around very long here. You want to stick to this area right here. Just don't deviate from the path I'm taking. You want to take these stairs right here. And just be careful because you might have to dodge that skeleton. He might appear on you. He pretty much spawns on top of you. But you just want to come up here. You want to get to the top, basically. The entrance to the catacombs is right here. But the more you stick around, the more chance you take of getting smashed in the head by a giant skeleton's hand. So let's just quickly get to the catacombs. But we have to respec because there's a lot to do in these catacombs. In a particular way we need to do things because it is a dangerous area. It's not for our level. We're like in the 20s right now, and this is not for us, but there is a pretty easy way to do it. So we need to have some things here. First, let's put our regular katana. We're going to put the Flame of the Redmanes on it. We're going to need the Nox Flowing Sword and the whip. We're going to take off the Sword Seal and put on the Ritual Talisman. Now we need fire pots and we need crystal darts. Crystal darts and fire pots. Craft as many fire pots as you can, and just make sure you have at least, I would say, 15 darts just to be safe, but you don't need that many. Be careful of that plate right there I just passed. It will shoot a lightning trap at you, so be careful. Now right here, there are 2 imps in the water. Now be careful, they throw lightning pots. But when you're in water, the damage is increased. So what you want to do is just go straight down the middle and jump. As soon as they rear back to throw their pots, then turn around and throw at least 3 darts at one of the imps right behind you. Once you see the bubbles above their head, they are on your side. Now just watch them play catch with each other. They'll throw pots at each other till they're dead. Oh, there'll be a survivor most times. Just get ready to kill the survivor, and you're good to go. Crystal darts will be very effective in this game. This is one of the best craftable items you can get. There's another imp here just hanging on the wall. We're going to knock him off with a crystal dart and throw another couple of them. And you can't see him because he's out of the view here, but he's going to throw his pot at another imp that you can't see out of picture here. And we're just going to use the Nox Flowing Sword to take both of them out. Easy peasy. Now right here, this is dangerous, guys. So let's get our katana out. We need the katana with the Flame of the Redmanes, and we also need fire pots. 2 fire pots with all our buffs that we just applied should take out these slugs in only 2 pots. We have 11 pots, so it should be enough to pretty much clear the area. But you want to stay clear of the skeletons that are coming because they can kill you with one-shot grabs, and you just got to make sure you watch where they are. Now, you can throw pots to a degree to hit them on the ceiling. The one on the left I'm able to hit, but that one on the middle I don't think we could have the range to do it with the pot throw, but here you can. Just keep throwing. There's another slug on the right. We're going to go ahead and kill this skeleton though, because he's very deadly. One shot kills when they grab you. And here's the last slug here. Now there's a nifty little trap in the middle of the room here that will shoot down lightning, and that's what we're going to use to kill a lot of these zombie skeletons, whatever they're called. But yeah, just hit the plate and run back, and you'll see it just rains down upon them. But we're going to finish them off with Flame of the Red Manes. You just want to keep your distance with these guys. I nearly got grabbed there. Just keep hitting the trap, and just keep using the Flame of the Red Manes to keep them away from you. Now, be careful. There's going to be more that spawn, and I actually forgot about this, because there's a Lindale Knight around the corner that had my attention. I kept thinking about how I was going to take him out, because he's really your biggest obstacle here. Stands between you and the lightning charm, so make sure you clear the area first of all the zombies. And here's where I forgot. You want to have the cestus here for the knight. Or you can use the rapier, because the rapier does piercing damage, which knights are weak to. But we decided to go with the cestus and the ground slam, because that was just absolutely ideal here. But here's the knight right there, but then I forgot about the zombies spawning in. There's 3 of them that are going to spawn in. We're just going to use our same strategy as before. Flame of the Red Manes or the lightning. Actually, we went with the Nox Flowing Sword here because we already de-equipped our katana. But if you still have it equipped, you can still use Flame of the Red Manes. Just don't get too comfortable, because these things have amazing range with their grabs. It's staggering how far away they can grab you from. And it is a one-shot kill. You will die. With this vigor that we have, you will die instantly. We're going to put our buffs on again, same as before. But here, we're going to fish for a backstab with the cestus. And then once we get a backstab on him, we're going to follow it up with a ground slam and then another ground slam. And he's done. So just get behind him as best as you can. Shouldn't be too hard. He's pretty slow, to be honest. We couldn't really sneak up on this one like we did the first one. But the ground slam with our buffs will take this guy out no problem. And that's it. Now, the only enemy that's standing between us and our lightning charm is an imp. Now, he's hanging on the ceiling, but he's easy to take out because we're going to throw a fire pot at him to knock him off. And then we're going to use the lightning trap right here. There's a plate on the floor here that will finish him off. So just throw one pot or get him down any way you want. And then activate the trap, and he's done. You will need a stone sword key to get to this charm, but since we've been collecting them, no problem. But this is not the reason I was saving keys. We need 3 keys for other things that are very important. But I had an additional key, so I decided to go for this. Now that other weapon that I was just mentioning, the one that's going to do sleep, the St. Trina's sword, that is also locked behind a stone sword key. So if you want that, you're going to need another key as well. Stone sword keys shouldn't be much of a problem though, because we're going to meet some merchants that sell them for a pretty good price. 2,000 a piece is very reasonable, and we're going to meet a merchant in this episode that sells them for that amount. We just want to make sure that we have 1 stone sword key for Stormville Castle and 2 for Volcano Manor. So a total of 3, but you definitely want to have 3 keys to get 2 very, very important items that are going to be critical for our build. We cannot miss out on these items, so we have to have 3 keys in our inventory to get those items. So make sure you don't step on the plate here. I just walked right over and got smashed in the head with some lightning here. Just don't do that. There's a boss fight right there, but we're not going to go there just yet. But now we're on our way to Mount Gelmir. So on our way to the next couple of destinations, you're going to start seeing some volcanic stones on the ground. Make sure to pick up as many of these as you can, because this is a crafting item that we're going to be using to craft volcanic pots, We don't quite have the recipe yet, but we're on our way to collect it. That's one of the main reasons we came here. Now I went ahead and took off the flame of the red mains on the katana because I'm going to need unsheath for our next boss fight. So I just went ahead and did it now. Just don't forget to do it before the next boss fight, which will be in the Volcano Cave. We're not quite there yet, but it won't be too long before we get there. Make sure to hit this grace down here, and you'll start seeing some volcanic stones on the ground. Make sure to pick up as many of these as you possibly can because they're used to craft volcanic pots. Volcanic pots are extremely effective against enemies that are weak to fire. But volcanic pots on their own won't get us the kind of damage that we need. We need to combine it with another pot, the oil pot. When you use the oil pot and then follow that up with a volcanic pot with all of our buffs, in addition to a flaming tear that we're going to get and the fire scorpion charm against enemies that are weak to fire and bosses too, they're not going to live very long. You want to take out this scarab if you want to get the Ash of War, but start collecting those volcanic stones. You see them right there next to me. This guy was squirrely as hell getting away from me. Now, as you're collecting the volcanic stones, take care of these flaming geysers throughout the river. Try to avoid them as much as you can because it's pretty much a one-shot kill at our vigor stats right now. But we can use the terrain to kind of go above it. Just be careful. You can kind of time it too. Once you see it go down, you can make your way through it. But yeah, we're going to pick up all these stones. Another good thing about volcanic pots is it only takes 2 volcanic stones to craft 1 pot. That's a lot of bang for your buck. So not only is this one of the most powerful pots in the game, it's also one of the easiest to craft. And volcanic stones are not hard to farm either. There's going to be a site of grace called the Seethe Water Terminus site of grace where you don't have to contend with all these geysers. So it's a safe way to farm the volcanic stones. Make sure to get this golden seed. Now take care, remember this area because you want to come back here at some point because there is a unlockable stone sword key area right here that leads to a cave, and this cave contains a very good talisman. We're not going to get it right now, but just remember it right there. Now we're on our way to our next destination, Fort Laiedd. Now Fort Laiedd has our fire scorpion charm. Now we've been putting off going for this golden scarab talisman for a long time because it's just the enemies in this cave that we're gonna have to go to get it, they're weak to fire. So I wanted to optimize the build for fire damage to its maximum potential before going to get the scarab to make the boss fight as easy as possible. I mean, it's possible to do it straight out of the gate. I've managed to do it with only 9 fire pots, some fire grease on my katana and unsheath to finish them off, and the dog summons that you get at the beginning of the game. But again, it's up to you. If you want to go for it straight away, go for it. But this is going to be the super easy way to get it once we get this recipe to craft the volcanic pots. Now after Fort Laiedd, we're going to go into a cave called Volcano Cave. This cave contains 2 items that we really want to get. The first one being the coiled shield. We're not using shields to protect ourselves, so to speak. This particular shield is a snake. It is a deadly snake that comes out and it will proc poison almost immediately. But it doesn't just proc any poison. It procs a deadly form of poison. There are 2 types of poison in this game. There's the deadly type and the regular type. The regular poison lasts a bit longer, but it's not as potent. Of course, the potent one is the one you want because you're going to cause more damage. It doesn't last as long, but it's so easy to proc again that it doesn't really matter. If you want to poison somebody, the snake is the way to do it. Plus, I think it fits with the Indiana Jones theme with the snakes. But, well, of course, Indy's afraid of snakes, but only Indy would find a way to use a snake as a weapon. And that's what we're going to do. But you can also get poison resistance, extra poison resistance by having it equipped. So it's a pretty good item, and we're going to go for it, along with the jar cannon, which is basically going to be our revolver. We've never had guns in Dark Souls. We've always had the crossbows, but this is the closest we're going to get. This is going to be our I want to kill whatever's in the room from long range weapon. It's going to take 23 strength to use it. which is a pretty hefty investment, but the game says it needs 34, but you only need 23. But right here, just run past this guy. This guy is not worth our time. We just want to get up to the top so we can get our Fire Scorpion Charm. There's also a cookbook in this room. Make sure to hit it. It's kind of hidden off to the left here. You'll have to jump over the wall. And then we're just going to fast travel back to the Seathwater Terminus side of Grace as soon as we get the access to our map there. And now on to Volcano Cave. This is where we're going to get the jar cannon and the coiled shield that we just mentioned. Two very fun weapons to use, and they fit this build. Now, a few things to watch out for. There are these things called sacramental buds. These things are very rare. Make sure you pick them up because they're going to be very relevant later. They're right up here as you drop down. Right here. There's a couple here. One of those rare items that you're going to want to craft certain things with. I'm just going to jump over here, avoid this guy. Now you want to head towards the lava. Don't worry, Torrent can take it for a little while anyway. Now remember this area because this boss right here, you don't have to fight him, but over here where this item is, you will meet the jar warrior Alexander here later, but not right now. But this is an important part of his quest line. He'll be over there in the lava. Iron Fist Alexander will be just standing there, strengthening himself. So right here you can loot this grave site. There's not any enemies about, so take your time. Usually there's some kind of enemy that's going to ambush you, but I didn't have any resistance here. Now just don't fight anything, just go straight through. There's going to be a rune bear that jumps down. Just avoid him at all costs. Don't fight him. We're going to be dealing with rune bears in a very interesting way later where they can't hurt us at all, and we're going to pretty much one-shot them after a while. So this is going to be very nice. But up here, we're going to get a very important weapon. This is a very, very important weapon for our build. This is the pulley crossbow. This is going to be the main crossbow that we use to proc status effects. However, I do have a specific build for the inflicting status effects. And that's just one of the weapons that goes into it. I call it the gunslinger build. We'll get to the builds later. I'm going to make a whole video dedicated for that. It'll be a short video though. But over here, go behind the house. Don't go in the middle because you'll alert the attention of an Iron Virgin and you might die. So pick up this Praedling Pate. You're beautiful. It's very important for Bach's quest. Now right here, you may get hit and killed because there's some mages here that will snipe you from everywhere. So just kind of start zigzagging, jumping around. There's also a side of Grace down there we come to later, but we're not worried about it right now. We just want to get out of here and into the next area. Now, an important note, if you did not get the Calm Down gesture from Patches in Limgrave, you can still get it here because Patches is over here just chilling by the rocks for some reason. But if you listen to him and peer over the edge, he'll kick you down the cliff there. And then if you come back and talk to him, he'll give you the gesture. But he's sitting right here, just chilling for some reason. I don't know what he's doing. But we've already got the gesture, so we don't need to do it. And it's not important for his quest line if you've already done it that far. He's going to be in Volcano Manor anyway, so this interaction isn't that important. When you come over here, you want to hurry up and get up this ladder as fast as you can because there is a grafted scion on loose, and he will get you. Be very quick and get this ladder very quickly. We want to get up to the top of these two very long ladders. I really don't understand what From Software's obsession with ladders are. Somebody has a ladder fetish. I am convinced of this because every game has a ladder like this, sometimes multiple times. Blighttown comes to mind. The Ashes of Ariandel come to mind. I mean, what is this? I don't understand. Like, it's everywhere. I don't know about Demon Souls. I haven't played that one yet. But these ladders, guys, I don't understand it. Like, somebody just loves these long ladders. You could have had a lift or something. Why this? Anyway, once you get to the top of this one, this merchant will sell us the cookbook that will make the game easy mode, basically. The volcanic pot recipe we need. Buy it. It's very important. And then we're going to get the stone sword key. It's an exuberant price here, 5,000, but we had the runes to spare. And we're going to be using keys in the next couple of episodes, so might as well. But once you get up to the top of this excessively long ladder, we're going to make our way towards the Volcano Cave. If you go left, you can unlock a grace that's just before another boss fight, but we don't need to go that direction right now. You can if you want to, if you just want to have easy access to it later. But once we get up to the top here, we want to head to the other side of this area. But if you go this way, like I say, this is where you'll get another rare item for crafting. But that way is where the boss is. But we don't want to go that way. We want to come to this other side of this area. That bridge will lead you to the Grace. Instead, come this direction. This other side will lead you to the cave. Just run past all the demi-humans. They're not worth your time. But they will throw volcanic pots at you, and you'll see the power of them if you just let them hit you with it. Right here, there's an opening, and this is the cave. We're not going to fight anything, guys. Screw the enemies in this cave. We're just here to grab the items and get to the boss. That's the only reason we're here. But let's go ahead and activate our lantern and some other things here we got to do. The katana with the unsheathed ability is all you really need. And we're putting on the lantern here just so we don't have to worry about anything. We don't need a torch because there's no rats here. But we need the katana and the whip. Of course, the whip is for our buff, and katana is for the unsheathed. We don't need the cestus, but just the katana and the whip. Now, like I say, we're not going to be able to buff because we don't have enough time, because we're going to run through every enemy. You want to take a right here first, and then you'll drop down and turn around immediately to another opening right here. There's an artillery leaf here you can get, which I always grab. And there's the coiled shield here, our snake. We don't need the slither of meat, which is just the other item. Now we're just trying to get out of here. Drop down, and I took a shot here as I was falling down. There's no way I could have avoided that damage. Cheap damage there. Just come through this fog wall and get ready. All you really need to do is unsheath under her legs, just like the last one we fought. But we're just going to use unsheath for the win here. Unsheath will stun her in, I think, 3 or 4 hits. And then you can riposte. Just make sure to top off your FP. Because once you run out of FP, your unsheath will not do as much damage. And it will be very noticeable. But it's very easy to kill this boss. This boss is nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just keep getting behind and into the crotch area, and that's it. And you'll get the jar cannon, which we mentioned earlier. Now, while we're still in Altus Plateau, we might as well make the most of it by looting some areas and getting some merchants unlocked. The first merchant we're going to go get is the one that's going to unlock the ability to craft lightning pots. Now, let me tell you guys something. If you have an enemy in the water, just like how we were in the catacombs earlier, where the imps were throwing lightning pots, you throw a lightning pot with an enemy in the water, and it hits them, they're going to die most likely, and especially if we have some buffs on top of it. Yeah, we're going to amplify our lightning damage to its maximum potential, but lightning pots are very good, so we're going to go get those. And after that, we're going to get a shield. Now this shield will give us health back. Now the thing is, on its own it won't do much. It gives you only 3 health back per second, but here's the thing. We're going to get a talisman as well, which will give us 2 health per second. That's 7 health per second without us doing nothing, just standing there. But we can also use our spells, or later on we can use a crystal tear that will regenerate our health. Now here's something to note. Buffs are weird in this game. You can't stack just any buff with each other. They have to be compatible. But here's the path we're going to take. We're going to put a marker right here. That's where the shield is. But along the way we're going to hit that merchant. But yeah, buffs, you have to be careful because there are so many different types of buffs and they will override each other. We'll go over which ones do what. But you can't use a spell like Blessing's Boon and then use the Crimson Burst Crystal Tear in the Wondrous Physics Flask. They're not going to stack on each other. One's going to cancel each other out. So if you're going to use one, I'd use the Flask because it lasts longer. But you can still use the shield and the talisman, and it will stack with one of those effects. But here's your merchant. Make sure to get the recipe for the lightning pots right here. It's a little expensive, but we'll pay it. And we're going to get stone sword key as well. You can hit this grace for easy access later. And we're going to go down this area and follow our marker to the next place where we're going to get our shield. But along the way, we're also going to see a crystal, one of those, not crystal lizards. I'm so used to Dark Souls. The scarabs that's going to have the Ash of War Golden Slam, which is used by one of those Erd Tree avatars. Shoots out these bolts of light. It's pretty cool, actually. Not going to lie. We're going to go ahead and pick it up. Woodfolk Ruins. Be careful of these enemies. They will cause death blight on you, and that's instant death if it procs. There's nothing you can do about it except alleviate the buildup, but there was no way to do that right now. Once you get the Golden Slam, just move on until you get to this marker. And your shield is here, but so is another one of those enemies that do the death blight. Get the shield and get out. There's also some gravel here, gravel stone, that you can be used to craft dragon wound grease. A rare item, but you can get a little bit here and there. Now, we're going to make our way to our next merchant. Now, this merchant is very important because he sells 2 items in particular that we want. The first one is a torch. The torch isn't that great on its own, but it will allow us to see an invisible enemy later. So we need to use it to make our lives easier. And they have an infinite supply of ballista bolts, which we want because we have the jar cannon now, so we want bolts to go with it. Of course, we won't be able to replenish the bolts if we run out because you can only shoot 20 at a time. But here's the thing. When we were in the Bellum Church area, we picked up a crafting kit that will allow us to craft the bone bolts. Now, the bone ballista bolts are infinite as long as you have the crafting material. So even if we run out of our regular bolts, we can always fall back on those bolts and we can craft as many as we want as long as we have the hefty bones to do such. So that's the reason you want that as well as a backup, because they don't give you that many bolts, only 20. So you can have 20 of the regular and 20 of the bones, but we can always just craft the bones without sitting at a grace. Now be careful when on approach here because there are archers on the stairs. They are capable of one-shotting you or knocking you off your horse. So just do your old zigzag patterns, do whatever you can to try to avoid getting hit. But we're just going to ride past all these enemies. They're not worth our time. And there are 2 tree sentinels guarding the door, but we can lose their aggro by just going past them and reaching the next area. There is a grace, a map fragment, and 2 golden seeds in this next area. And then we're going to get another 2 golden seeds very shortly after that. And then we're going to unlock the next merchant. And this merchant also will have another bell-bearing hunter that will give us the medicine bell-bearing, which will allow us to buy boluses and things. But we don't need to do that in this episode. We are going to kill the hardest of the bell bearings in this episode in Caelid that will give us the gravity stones to purchase from the Maiden Husks. But here are your 2 golden seeds. Now don't worry about the tree sentinels. They've never followed me all the way to the map fragment. So they'll always lose aggro here. And you can just hit the grace and you're safe. But moving on, we want to head up those stairs right in front of us. There will be a gargoyle that swoops in, but we can go right past him. He's not worth our time right now anyway. But shortly after this, we will get our next 2 golden seeds right up these stairs here. Just ignore the gargoyle. We'll have to fight gargoyles later that I don't want to fight. I hate fighting these things. They're very annoying, and when you have to fight 2 of them at the same time, it's really annoying. So, yeah, I'm not ready for that yet. But right here, your 2 golden seeds. Get those. And now we're going to head towards the merchant. Just follow this path. You might hear Margit or whoever it is taunting you. Yeah, we haven't even met Margit yet. But yeah, it's just right ahead here. You'll see some stairs leading up. And this will lead you to the merchant. Now, take care now. Do not go down the middle of the road. We're going to take the path that I take because these enemies will kill you very fast. They have some really powerful death spells or something. I do not recommend taking this dirt path. Go this way over here, or you might die. I've died several times. Even if you try to sit at the grace, they will stand right at the grace and you won't be able to sit at it and you'll die. Trust me, I've been there. But just go up these rocks. It's just better this way. And here's the merchant. And here's the grace. And this is where you will activate the bell-bearing hunter. But we'll do that in the next episode, not this one. We are going to fight the other one in Caelid, though, like I said. But this guy will sell you the sentry torch. We want this torch. And, of course, he has the ballista bolts. We're not going to use any runes right now to buy ballista bolts, but we will be coming back here to top off our supply. But not right now. Our next very important destination, we want to go down here to this cave. This is the sealed tunnel. This has the bell bearing for the smithing stones 3 and 4. By doing this, we can get our weapons to plus 12 by obtaining this smithing stone bell bearing. Now, once we kill Godric, we will be able to continue Vare's quest. Vare is the way to get access to the end game area very early. And when I mean early, I mean super early. All you have to do is kill Godric, the first demigod, and you can get access to so many good things, and including the best rune farms in the game. And that's why we're going to do Vare's quests line up to that point, so that we can get our rune troubles taken care of. We won't have to worry about wasting runes on supplies. We can get hundreds of thousands of runes in minutes, and we can just top off all our supplies like our bolts and everything and upgrade all our weapons to plus 12. And that's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you the rune farm in the next episode, but we're not going to do it here. Now, this area has a lot of illusionary walls. Now, if you just don't want to bother looking for them, equip Margit's shackle and use it. It will activate all of the hidden areas in the area. And you can see this is an illusionary wall here that we didn't see. Now we're in the sealed tunnel. We're just going to run past all these enemies. We're just here to get the chest that's right here. You might get ambushed by a few enemies, but just grab it and get out. You shouldn't die. Now we've done everything we want to do in Altus Plateau for now, so we need to head back to Limgrave and get to the Mistwood Ruins so that we can get access to the well. We haven't been to this well yet. This will give us access to a pot that we need, the oil pot that I mentioned earlier. The oil pot and the fire pots, they go together like peanut butter and jelly, guys. It's amazing. What the oil pot does, when you throw an oil pot at an enemy, and then you throw any kind of fire damage at that enemy, it's going to do 50% more damage on that next attack. I can't tell you how important that is when you're fighting a boss that is weak to fire. Needless to say, they will not last very long. And it just so happens that the next boss that we're going to fight is extremely weak to fire. And they will give us 2 crystal tears that will be very valuable for us in the playthrough. So we're going to get one that's a stamina regen increase and one that is a fire damage increase. You can see where we're going with this. We're stacking fire and stamina for all of our needs here. We're going to need stamina for the bell-bearing hunter in Caelid to make it easier. And we're going to need fire for the avatars, the Putrid Avatars, and the rotten knights that are in the abandoned cave that are guarding the golden scarab. We're going to go ahead and upgrade our pulley crossbow to +4. We're going to need this later. But now we need to head back to the Mistwood outskirts side of Grace so that we can get access to the well. From this Grace, just head straight. We've already put a marker on it. You'll see it next to the Erd tree. It's like this circle area, kind of like a crop circle looking thing. But that's access to the well. And in this well, we will get a merchant that will give us the oil pot. For a measly 1,000 runes, we can get one of the best pots in the game. And he also sells cheap stone sword keys. So we're going to get some stone sword keys from him as well. But here's the entrance. You might have seen this before, but we didn't go to it. The river well here. Now, the only item that you need to craft an oil pot is a melted mushroom. They're easy to farm down here, and there's one that's right next to a site of grace that's very convenient. So farming these things will not be a problem. They're infinite, and there's one right next to the grace. So you can get as many of these things as you want, and it's important because you want to combine these with the fire damage that you do. No matter what kind of fire damage it is, throw an oil pot first if you want to get the maximum amount of damage, because 50% is nothing to scoff at, guys. 50% is huge. And then you stack other buffs on top of that, and you're talking about ridiculous numbers coming up on the screen. Thousands of damage. And that's what we're looking for. I don't recommend fighting any of these enemies, though, down here. They're not worth our time. Let's just get to where we need to go. But there is a few items that we're going to pick up just because they're there. But look out for the mushrooms, the melted mushrooms, the white mushrooms. You'll see them around sometimes, but whenever you see them, just pick them up. There's one right here. I just passed it, actually. I might get it on the way back. I can't remember if I did or not. No, I don't think I did. There's smithing stone 4 up here. There's a mushroom right there. We need to make our way to another lift that will take us to the next section. And this is where we can farm for the melted mushrooms. And it will give us access to the merchant. Now, the merchant isn't that easy to get to. If you get too close to these lightning orbs, they will kill you instantly. And when I mean instantly because you're in the water. And you know, lightning and water do not mix. And those lightning orbs, they will spew lots of lightning and you will die. And I have died many times trying to get to the merchant. So try to keep a low profile. Try to get around the orbs as best as you can. And then you'll have to contend with these I think they're called Erd warriors or something. But they're like a spectral version of them. But we can easily ground pound them and then combo them. Cestus. It's not too bad. But here's the entrance to the next area. We're just picking up all these items. There's some ghost glovewort here. Some runes. And another smithing stone 4. Alright, this is the access to the next area. I want to get this item here. I didn't know what it was. A golden rune. Upon exiting the lift, you want to make sure you find the site of grace as fast as you can, because this is the site of grace that you will use to farm the melted mushrooms from. Be careful of this crab. Run away from him, or just use ground pound. Ground pound against a crab will kill him almost instantly. Right here is your grace. This is the one that you want to hit to find the mushrooms. So the first mushroom is right above you. A hop, skipping away right here. Sometimes they'll give you two, which is nice. There are a few other ones along the way, but we're just trying to get to the merchant now. Beware of these lightning orbs, like I said. They will one-shot you. Try to avoid direct contact with them. There's another mushroom right here. But you'll see some scaffolding out in the distance. That's where you want to head. But again, you don't want to get anywhere near those orbs. You can't stress this enough. They will kill you instantly if they see you. Just try to keep a low profile as much as you can. Quickly get out of the water. The lightning won't hurt nearly as bad if you're out of the water. And there's these two enemies up here we got to take out. I tried to sneak up on this guy. It didn't work out. He turned around. But one ground pound is it's over. Tried to sneak up on this guy. Didn't work again. Ground pound for the win, though. You just look at the damage it does, and you can follow it up with a punch, and you're done. Now you want to drop down here and just follow the path to get to the merchant. And this is the merchant that will give us the oil pots. And we're going to craft them immediately, because our next boss is the one that is weak to fire. And we're going to demonstrate the awesome power of the peanut butter and jelly combo, the oil pots, and the volcano pots. Together, they're better together, guys. Better together.
Oh, a customer.
And don't forget to buy the stone sword keys. He also sells a larval tier and some soap, but we can craft soap as well. We bought all his swords keys from him. And that's it.
Goodbye.
Onward to the smoldering church. Now, if you have any pots in your inventory, get rid of them now. So we had some holy pots in our inventory, so we're going to get rid of those. You want to have all of your cracked pots available. So get rid of all of these. Anything that you have, whether it be fire, holy, whatever. We're going to craft about 5 oil pots and 8 of the volcano pots. And now we're going to change our loadout here, because we don't need FP and we don't need health, because this boss is going to one-shot us anyway. So we don't need that. Put on the fire scorpion charm for extra fire damage. And then we're ready to go. Like I said, we don't need health and we don't need FP. But if you want to have it, you can put it on your toolbar if you want. But we're going to kill this boss so fast it's not going to really matter. I would recommend having your oil pot in your first slot and having the volcano pot in your second slot, because first you want to throw the oil pot, then you want to throw the volcano pot. Our peanut butter and jelly combo will work wonders. We are going to want to use our buffs. First golden vow, flame grant me strength, and that's it. We don't need any FP or anything. Drink your flask if you want. But one oil pot. Just dodge these guys' attacks. They're very telegraphed. Throw one volcano pot, and when he stomps, all you have to do is get behind him, roll behind him. He'll stomp a lot too. Right here, as you can see, he stomps. He will inflict Scarlet Rot upon you if you get any on you. But as long as you're dodging behind him with the rolls here, you're not going to get hit by any Scarlet Rot. But just one pot, and then a volcano pot. Oil pot, volcano pot. And he will die in about 4 pots, I think. But if he does this attack, you're going to have to strafe or roll. If you are standing still, stationary in any way, you will die for sure. But just learn this guy's attacks. He's not hard to dodge. He really isn't. And that's it. He's done. He's one of the bosses that's going to give us one of the best tiers in the game. That's the stamina tier. I forget what it's called. The green burst, I think. Crystal tier. Green burst crystal tier, yes. And also the flame shrouding crystal tier. These 2 tiers will be very valuable for us. And onward to the next area where we will get our golden scarab at long last. We are finally ready to take on this boss. Now for our loadout, you can go with the backup weapon. I'm going to use the Nox Flowing Sword as a backup, but I'm not even going to need it. But you're going to need the whip for your buff, and you're definitely going to need the cestus in your right hand. And we're going to need to put the Ash of War quick step on it. We're going to need the Fire Scorpion Charm as our talisman, and we're going to need as many volcano pots as we can craft, which is 13. We're not going to need that many, but the more you have, the better. Follow the wall until you reach this area right here, and then you're just going to look downward until you see an area you can go down. Then you're going to have to hop over. Sometimes you can die, so just be careful. You'll find an area you can drop down right here. And then there's just the opening. I usually just jump on this tree branch here for safety. And you're there. Now, you're definitely going to want the no skill Ash of War on your Beast Torch. And you're going to want the Ash of War quick step on the Cestus. And you're going to want to go ahead and put on the new crystal tier that you got from the last boss fight. The Flame Shrouding Crystal tier. And the new stamina crystal tier that's better. Make sure you do that. But the Ash of Wars are a must. We already have it on our Beast Torch, but don't forget to do it. You're going to need the Beast Torch to keep the rats away. But this is what your loadout should look like. And you can put on a spirit summon that you like. The regular wolves that you get are fine for this boss. We're just going to use our Rotten Stray because it has more health. Well, we've buffed it up +5, so. Just drop down and start using the Ash of War quick step immediately. You will take damage sometimes. There are sometimes I haven't taken damage, and I don't really understand it. But here I'm just going to use the Beast Vitality to get some health back instead of using a flask. And we're just going to run past all the enemies. There are some butterflies in here that you can use to craft rotten items. They're very rare and they do not respawn. You can farm them later on, but it's not until you get to the mountaintops of the giants, which, yeah. But you can just run past all these enemies. There is another weapon up here that we want to get that's part of our build called the Venomous Fang. It's a fist weapon. Or it might be a claw weapon. I'm not sure if it's... I think it's classified as a claw weapon. But it's still a punching weapon, so... fits our build. I'm just going to pick up as many of these butterflies as possible. If you do get poisoned or rotted, we still have Cleanse Me, Flame Cleanse Me spell. That's why we have it. But it's very likely you will get poisoned or rotted here. But right here, we don't need the Cestus anymore. Let's go ahead and buff Golden Vow. Flame grant me strength once you have the FP to do such. Drink the physics flask. You should still have enough to summon in your spirit summon, which is the Rotten Stray. Do not engage this first guy. go past him. It's not worth our time. Let the dog deal with him. Get out your volcano pots and start spamming this guy. Just don't stop throwing. Don't stop. He might throw one of his discs at you, but by the time he gets it on you, he's going to be dead. He's already dead already. And just a few more pots and this boss fight is over. This is a very annoying boss fight otherwise, but we are so overpowered now that it's just not going to take long at all. You can see it just melts this boss. And if you're quick enough, you can quickly grab once you get the golden scarab, you can quickly equip it. If you're fast enough, you can get the extra runes. I don't know if I was fast enough, but I did pop a golden pickled foulfoot. Now that we have the golden scarab, it is finally time to take on the dragon. And once we get back to Fort Faroth, all we need to do is go into our physics flask and make sure we have both of the stamina crystal tiers equipped. Mixed in here. This will make killing the dragon so much faster, but I am going to edit it out because there's no sense in y'all watching me kill a dragon for 5 minutes. I don't even think it takes 5 minutes though. We're going to use the cestus to kill the dragon because the cestus does bleed, and we need to have something that does bleed here. And because the attacks are quick and don't take as much stamina, plus we're going to use the physics flask to increase our stamina bar and our regen speed, this is not going to take very long. And I highly recommend this is how you do it. So first we're going to drink and start punching. You will notice that at some point you'll see a huge chunk come off of the dragon. Well, I say huge, but you'll see like 13,000 HP come off of him. That's when you know you've done bleed. Just continue to wail on the dragon until you get close to the end right here. And I'm going to pop a golden pickled foulfoot just before he dies, or she dies. You can actually wait till you kill the dragon and then pop it, and I've still gotten it, but you don't want to take any chances. You should get over 120,000 something runes for this. At first it says 74, but then it continues to climb as you see. And we'll also get 5 dragon hearts, although we're not going to use them in this playthrough. Now we want to head back to the isolated merchant in Caelid, where we purchased our spiked cestus, and we want to make it nighttime so we can kill the bell-bearing hunter. We're going to poison him with poison armament. You can use lightning if you want to. I was experimenting with both, but poison is fine. You just want something that chips away at his health when you're not fighting him. Make sure you have the golden scarab equipped so you don't have to hurry up and equip it. We want to get about 74,000 runes for this guy. So we want to kill him and make sure we pop our golden pickled foulfoot as he dies. Make sure to have both of the stamina crystal tiers equipped. It's going to do you much better. But this is widely considered the hardest of the bell-bearing hunters. But I've said this before, I really don't think any of them are hard. They have such an easy moveset to memorize. And if you do the right things, you will never take a hit. And we're not going to take a hit again. Just do all your buffs here. Make sure to drink the physics flask, though. And we're going to poison. We'll put our poison on our weapon here. We're going to use the katana, of course, with unsheath. 5 hits. And it's really the same as before. This guy has more health. So you have to go longer without making a mistake. But it's really just the same thing. Like, he does the same moves as before. That's why I really just don't think these guys are hard at all. When he does the shield, just make sure he doesn't follow up with the AoE. You're just going to unsheath. When he goes down, you're going to repost. Then when he starts getting up, you do another unsheath. And it's just rinse and repeat, guys. It's really not that hard to kill this guy. If you have trouble with him, just practice his moveset. You can see I never go far away from him. I'm always close to him. But just whenever that AoE comes into play, you just got to be careful of that. I've been caught by that many times, trying to run in with the unsheath. You won't have time to rebuff your weapon, though, so once he's poisoned, that's it. You're not going to really have enough time, unless you have drawstring poison grease, which we do not have. We just don't have anything quick enough to rebuff our weapon. This guy just has the same moves again. Just don't get hit by the grab. Just stay close to him. The reason this boss is hard is if you try to get far away from him. Then he gets his ranged attacks into play. That's when you don't want to fight him, is he's a pain in the ass in that respect. But if you stay close to him, he's a piece of he's nothing. As you can see, we're not even level 30 yet, and we're taking him out no problem. We have like a +5 katana. It's not like we have an overpowered weapon right now. We did put a little poison on, but it's just not that hard. And this is widely considered the hardest one. So the other one is in Altus Plateau, where we found that merchant that gave us the torch. We'll get him in the next episode. He's easier than this guy. This guy's got the most health. That's the only thing that makes him harder, is his health pool is much bigger. Once we kill him, we'll get the gravity stones that we'll be able to purchase from the Twin Maiden Husks. These things are really good, guys. Really good consumable, and we don't have to farm for them. We just purchase them. He's almost dead now. As long as you just continue to hit him one time, don't go all guns blazing with the katana, just one hit, unless he does his shield attack. In that case, you can go for maybe 2 or 3 hits, but I usually unsheath on him. And that's it. He's done. Just use the pickled foulfoot, and you'll get 74,000 runes. Not too shabby. We're going to close out the episode by giving the bell bearing to the Twin Maiden Husks. In the next episode, we're going to be going through Stormville Castle, where we're going to kill our first demigod, Godric the Grafted, and then we're going to get access to Marais' quest line, in which we'll be able to unlock the rune farm that we need, so to never worry about runes again. I'll see you guys in the next one.